We are live, Saturday night edition, Saturday night special, a harness racing edition of Woodbine Live. I'm Dan Tordjman with America's Best Racing, joined by a man who, I won't say his name, but a mutual friend of ours referred to you as the Bob Costas of harness racing. I swear to you that is the actual term. So we are thrilled to have Greg Blanchard with us. Some of you might recognize him as longtime commentator at Woodbine or from Costa TV. He's a host there. And he's also involved in management at Western Fair Raceway. Greg, we could not be happier to be spending Pepsi North America Cup night with you in particular. So welcome aboard. I hope you're doing well. I know you're live at Woodbine. What's going on?
Well, thank you, Dan, for that great introduction. A little bit of pressure now. I don't know if I can live up to that, but thanks for the nice words. Yeah, great to be here tonight. They've got me set up in a little bit of an office location here at Mohawk Park tonight, but I was outside earlier, and it's wonderful to see the atmosphere this year. Last year, the race was conducted with next to no spectators under the circumstances of the time. A little bit different this year, but still, a lot of protocols in place. Nonetheless, a big crowd on hand and a great atmosphere outside. So it kind of feels like a Pepsi North America Cup night again, and it's our biggest race on the standardbred side in Canada, and another world-class field tonight going for $1 million.
That's awesome. So we are going to dig into the field. We've got Greg with us. We've got a number of guests standing by are going to join us live, but the most important guests are you right now watching at home or wherever you are on your phones, on your laptops. We want you to drop messages in the comments. Tell us who you like. Who do you think will win the Pepsi North America Cup? And we've got another race between now and then. We're going to dig into that as well. But yeah, jump in the comments. Spend the next hour or so with us. And by the way, this is like a completely judgment-free zone. Grab a drink. We're having a drink, so grab yours. Let us know what you're drinking. It's a great night, and we're super excited to dig into the action. Greg, you mentioned in particular the fact that, obviously fans were not around last year for this race and on this night. The energy there is high. For those who don't know, a lot of people watching right now on America's Best Racing, what could you compare this to? What is the significance of Pepsi North America Cup night? What does this night mean in the world of standardbred racing?
It's right up there. It's probably one of the 3 or 4 biggest nights of the season North American wide. It's undoubtedly our biggest in Canada. A lot of thoroughbred fans watching, probably familiar with the Queen's Plate. Obviously, it's our big thoroughbred race of the year, our equivalent of the Kentucky Derby, if you will. So on the standardbred side, the NA Cup is really the big daddy. $1 million purse. Often the horse that wins the NA Cup is automatically in the running for year-end honors when it comes to 3-year-old colt of the year. We've had some horses that have won overall horse of the year after adding an NA Cup title to their resume. So it's big. You as a winner of this, you're automatically probably looking at a decent stud career. Those types of things that come along with a race of this stature.
Nice. We encourage everybody, of course, to drop your comments. Let us know who do you think will win tonight. We are going to show you the race. We've got live streaming coverage. We'll show you the race, so stay with us. Greg, I mentioned also there's a big race in between now and the NA Cup. That's the Wellwood. The Wellwood, a big field. For harness racing though, it's about an average size field, right? 10 horses, so always competitive, and really great opportunities to bet. So I think whether you're a thoroughbred fan watching and you're kind of playing harness racing for the first time or just getting into it, this is a good opportunity here, I would think, in the Wellwood with a pretty at the moment you do have a heavy favorite, King of the North at 2-5. But how do you see that race shaping up?
Yeah, this one's really wide open. A little different than the Pepsi NA Cup. We're talking trotters here, and I'm not sure if the viewers, most of your viewers, really know the difference between trotters and pacers. I assume many would, but different gaits for the standardbreds. And so you're talking trotters, and they're usually younger ones especially are a little bit tougher to stay on gait. So you've got that. These are 2-year-olds versus the 3-year-olds that we're going to see in the North America Cup. So there's less experience. So really kind of anything can happen in these races. And going into the eliminations last week, a colt by the name of King of the North was undefeated coming in and looked like he was clearly going to be the horse to beat in this race. Well, wouldn't you know it, he was upended last week in the elimination and really had no excuse. He was a little bit flat. He got beat fair and square. So now you're not sure what to do with him or how is he going to bounce back. And he's a U.S.-based colt that had shipped here. So, there could have been, something to do with shipping. There might have been sickness. It's hard to say, but he just wasn't himself last week. So that's a bit of an X factor coming in. And what's interesting about this race too, Dan, is that they go for $640,000 tonight. The winner, though, receives an automatic invite to the Mohawk Million. The second edition of that's coming up here in a couple of weeks. So there, needless to say, is a whole lot on the line tonight if you can win the Wellwood.
Yeah, so it's like a win and you're in race, right? Like the Breeders' Cup races. You win this one, you punch your ticket to a bigger event, and right. So that's really cool. We can take a look here just briefly.
But you went to Toonby, Archie.
We do have, like we said, we'll
have
the live stream races
I
for you.
Lines are really good.
You look at the horse you mentioned there,
reason why I went
King of the North,
I just
1-2 right now.
Has a lot of
it is early.
Some of the bigger races. I find
that could change your bet.
Seem like when it comes
but
to
you got a nice board there. If you're looking elsewhere, the one horse World at Mordeo, 10-1. The 3 horse Duly Resolved, 8-1.
Champlain, win a gold elimination, finish second in another gold elimination.
5 Temporal
Hanover, like he's a really nice horse coming into this race at the right time. This is a tough one. And I'm a big fan
Explosion.
30-1 on the board right now on
Twinbee Archie.
My second selection is at number 3, Duly Resolved, and I've loved the way he's
let's
so
do it
far,
as
in the OSS Golds and even
the 10
in the Champlain, got locked in,
on the
was
outside.
flying late, only got beat by a neck, and then came right back on the top to win on the front end last time in the elimination for this race.
The one thing I know from doing these shows, we did a number of them last year, we focused specifically on Woodbine Mohawk, is that you have, like, when you're breaking on the outside, I mean, oftentimes you're up against it, am I right?
Cutting the mile doesn't really seem to matter.
Yeah, for sure. It's a disadvantage. And, actually, last year the number 10 horse was starting in the second tier.
Really hasn't done much wrong.
They tried that for a full season
in the open draw.
Kind of mixed reviews. So now this year they've gone back to the traditional format where all 10 horses get to start on the gate. But post 10's a big disadvantage, certainly. You have to be able to be very quick when the gate leaves and get forward position quickly before they reach that first turn. And, a little bit different than thoroughbreds too, where in standardbred racing, you want to try and get down to the inside of the pylons, and a wide trip certainly takes a lot more out of a standardbred, it appears, than in a thoroughbred race. So interesting to see the top King of the North, the first defeat last week. The public not dissuaded whatsoever, 3-5, prohibitive favorite right now. I think he can bounce back. I really think he'll be better this week, having a week here in Canada to get acclimated, and it had missed a little time before that race, so likely needed that in terms of fitness and a good post position to work with. He's closer down toward the inside of the gate here tonight. So I expect a big bounce back. Having said that, if they do beat him tonight, I'm not sure which one it's going to be. That's a pretty wide open tote board, and understandably so. I think he could go in 4 or 5 different directions.
All right. Well, we want to hear what you watching out there think. Who do you like in the Wellwood? Who do you like in the Pepsi North America Cup coming up? We are going to take down this video for just a moment because we're going to bring in not one, but 2 guests at the same time. So get ready for this. Ashley Mailloux joining us. Derick Giwner from the Daily Racing Form. What is up, everyone?
How are you guys?
Good.
How are you?
Good. Derick, where are you right now?
I am sitting in my office in Long Island, New York, multitasking, watching Meadowlands, Mohawk, Woodbine, and the Yankee Met game, of course. So if you see me shaking my head a lot, it's because the Yankees are losing once again.
It's so funny. I've got it right behind me, too. Don't hate me. I'm a Mets fan. Look, we have it rougher than you do anyway. So don't hate me. But
go Blue Jays.
Go Blue Jays.
It's good for you guys up north, but not so good for me. It's hard to watch these Yankees right now.
Yeah, it's been a slide, but hey, look, the game's not over. 6th inning, 6-5 Mets right now. If you're watching this, give you the quick update. Ashley Mailloux, so good to see you, my friend. It has been a long, long time. How you doing?
It has been a really long time. I'm good. I won't lie. I did take like a 20-minute nap this evening. It was a long day at Gulfstream, 12 race card and a really big Rainbow Six payout. So all the excitement needed to get a little cat nap in, but I've watched the last couple from Woodbine Mohawk Park, but everything's good. I hope everyone else is doing well on this.
Did you hit that Rainbow Six?
I hate to tell you, if I would have hit for 300,000, I probably wouldn't be here right now. So the answer is no.
Fair enough. Well, look, we want to bring you guys in on the discussion. We've been talking, about a number of different things. We were on last year for this race in particular. Last year, there were no fans on site. So obviously a lot more energy, a lot more excitement. Ashley, let's start with you. Pepsi North America Cup. Who do you like? I mean, are you trying to get past the favorites? I know you typically are looking for some value in these races.
Yeah, honestly, I think when you look at this year's field, I mean, I think that the favorites kind of stick out on paper and what they've done and kind of looking at the eliminations. To me, I hate to use chalk, but it's Bulldog Hanover for me on top and then Perfect Sting, which are both going to be favorites. When I was trying to find maybe prices, I'm always looking for somewhere to maybe sneak them in. I think for me, a Buck-a-Bet Hanover and Rocky Road Hanover were the two that I could use underneath in there and had some confidence in. I just think when you look at the eliminations and horses, I hate to say it, the chalks. I think with the case when I made the deciding factor, I guess, between Bulldog Hanover and Perfect Sting, I'm just thinking about the year. They both had great years, right? But in the case for Bulldog Hanover, I just think kind of looking at his performances, I think in his elimination, it wasn't an ideal trip. And to see him kind of overcome that, that's what just gave me a little bit of a slight edge with him over Perfect Sting.
All right. And you jumped to a couple of potential long shots who could spice things up. You didn't mention Desperate Man. I don't know if Desperate Man constitutes an actual long shot. Greg and I were talking about Desperate Man a little bit before the show started. Derek, what do you think about Desperate Man?
I think Desperate Man is going to be overbet. I think he's coming off a race where people are going to look at it and say, wow, he came home in 51 and whatever, and he looked really good, and he was getting to the winner, but he really wasn't getting to Bulldog Hanover. Bulldog Hanover was completely shut down. They could have went around the track 26 more times, and Bulldog Hanover was still going to win that race. I think that Desperate Man is going to take too much money here, and it's just not worth the price you're going to end up taking. For me, I agree with basically everything Ashley said. I think Bulldog Hanover has looked the best on the track, especially in his last couple of races. To me, he looks unbeatable. That doesn't mean that someone can beat him. I mean, Perfect Sting certainly could beat him, but what I've seen lately, he just looks unbeatable. And I really do think that she has something with the Buck-a-Bet Hanover. I think this is a horse that just kind of went around the track last week, was making the final, and he's a much better horse on a big track than he is on a smaller track, and a lot of his issues were on a smaller track. I think this could be a decent spot for him to get involved.
Greg, what do you think about this as you're listening to this? I know we talked about Desperate Man a little bit. I think you had a higher opinion maybe of Desperate Man than Derek does.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what he's saying, and I don't think Derek and Ashley are underestimating Desperate Man either, but they know that he's up against a couple of real Bearcats and Perfect Sting and Bulldog Hanover. But hey, Desperate Man, he beat Bulldog Hanover fair and square. Now that was at another venue, that was at Georgian Downs, but he was a 2-move winner that night and went toe to toe with Bulldog Hanover and bested him there. And he's been right there knocking at the door. So definitely, I think it will be a factor and can hit the ticket. But I agree, Bulldog Hanover just looks superior. It's really his body language. The last couple of weeks, he looks like he's getting stronger and sharper as the season goes on. And when you looked at driver Jody Jamieson 25 feet from the wire last week. That's what really sold me, and I think a lot of people that this is something special we're looking at here. And I'll throw another long shot into the ring here as well, or he'll be a little bit of a price. Which way to the beach? Sylvain Filion last week underestimated Perfect Sting. He moved on him good and early, and he actually got a head or maybe even a neck up in front of him, and Perfect Sting fought back to beat him. So Sylvain would have learned from that. He'll try and save that move, I'm sure, for just the optimal time here tonight. And I think he'll be heard from as well. This guy's lightly raced and getting better with every start and really getting acclimated to this level of competition. So it's a good field. Bulldog will have to be every bit as good as he's been recently to win.
Derick, Ashley, any thoughts on that? Because we're going to transition back to the Wellwood. We'll let you chime in, though, if you'd like.
The only thing I'll say about Perfect Sting, too, I mean, I guess coming into this race, I like that he kind of got back to winning ways in his elimination. He was just kind of hitting the door and was almost there in his prior races, especially when I look at the Kane pace when he kind of surrendered a little bit in there. So that bodes well for him. I mean, obviously he had a standout 2-year-old season, 10 for 10, and then coming here now as a 3-year-old, he's still great, don't get me wrong. But I always wonder with horses like that, whether it's thoroughbreds or standard breds, when you have a year like that, we always know sometimes the next year isn't as good. I still think he could score over Bulldog Hanover, but as Greg just said, when you're looking at what this year has kind of brought for these horses, I think Bulldog is kind of the standout in that sense.
And I'll just add that as far as Which Way to the Beach and Perfect Sting go, they faced each other last week. I don't value Which Way to the Beach as a top horse. To me, he's one notch below the top horses. So the fact that Perfect Sting battled back to beat him, he's supposed to battle back to beat that horse. He's supposed to be better than Which Way to the Beach. So that's the way. That's why I go the other way and go with Bulldog Hanover over Perfect Sting.
Okay. We are getting pretty close here to the Wellwood. You see the seconds ticking down, and our good man John Piasek here says, a little surprised Temporal Hanover is 15-1, so that's the 5 horse. It looks like the value play of the Wellwood. What do we think? Is that value? I mean, look, 3-5 right now. I mean, all the action going to the horse talked about earlier here, the 2 horse, King of the North. Anybody on board there with Temporal Hanover?
I would love that if that happened. I played my selections that we did for the insert in the program tonight at Woodbine Mohawk Park and hit the early pick 5. And this is a race where I actually used 3 in here, one of which is the 5, Temporal Hanover. When I handicap this, I'll be honest, I didn't have a morning line when I did this a couple days ago. So to see this horse at this price, I think this is value. You kind of look at September 2nd. Was able to win there, and prior to that won the Champlain. I mean, I think this horse has been good. I think the post position's fine for this one. I'm always trying to beat favorites, so at 15-1, I think it's worth a shot.
For me, the value play here is duly resolved. I think he looked spectacular on the track. He's looked good just about every single week. Do I think he could be King of the North? I don't know. The wind is a big factor tonight. A lot of people are talking about it, and some of these 2-year-olds might not like going, into that wind. And King of the North is a much better horse from off the pace. Speed's been winning. So I think 10-1 on duly resolved. I took a flyer with him.
Greg, final word goes to you.
I just concur. I think there's a lot of value outside of King of the North. I mean, King of the North barely got there to win on Hambo Day, as impressive as that was. Beaten last week. He's a real question mark for me at 3-5.
Well, I am like boxing all of your horses here. So I'm essentially really resolved at Temporal Hanover here, but I'm going to have to use King of the North. So my ticket is in. We're going to go ahead and listen to the race call here. So enjoy.
Here they come. They're off and trotting. Let's Do It S from the extreme outside is rocketing out of there. Coming out with that one alongside is Pretender now. Pretender in the center, gunning his way to the front for Gingras. Let's Do It S on the outside. Trots on to challenge here. Pretender gets a little bit sideways.
Uh-oh.
spot. Dropped over third, went Temporal Hanover. There's Periculum up close early from in fourth. Duly Resolved is fifth. Sixth inside to King of the North. Racing further back to World of War Deo seventh. Eighth away at the rail is Explosion. 2 more lengths back to Southwind Domino. Quarter time 28-3. And we've got action. T-Trick is right lined at Temporal Hanover. And Temporal Hanover darts to the front. Back into second, Let's Do It S. Sitting third to the outside. Here comes Periculum now. Pretenders racing fourth. Duly Resolved is edging out of fifth here for McDonnell. Further back we go to find King of the North, and off stride went Periculum in a backstretch battle. 57-2 the opening half. They race to the final turn. Temporal Hanover leads the way. Now he'll deal with Duly Resolved, who's first over and driving. That elimination winner, Duly Resolved, is on the outside, knocking on the door with 3/8 of a mile to go. Let's Do It S in the pocket spot. King of the North swelling up on cover. Second over from in fourth and ready to strike. Inside is Pretender. He'll need some final turn for Essing as he gets really ill-gated. Nope, Jingra lost the battle. Pretenders on the run. 3/4 of a mile. And it's Temporal Hanover leading. Duly Resolved on the outside in second. Coming to his bridle at 3/4 and 125-3. Still there with the lead. Temporal Hanover. Duly Resolved on the outside. Off cover now comes King of the North. Shooting through up the inside. Let's Do It S. Deep stretch. Duly Resolved to McDonnell clear. King of the North on the outside. Still trying to trot up late and get him. Duly Resolved digs in. King of the North on the outside with a final push. King of the North! Yes, he is! King of the North reaching up to win for McDonald. Takes the Willie Wellwood Memorial in 1:54.2.
Wow. That was insane. That was an insane. So much happened there. I mean, all those moves. You had one of the favorites going off stride pretty early. Derick, sick call. I mean, I thought you were home. You were home free there.
You know what? At the 5/8 mile marker of the race, I don't know if anyone could see me. Basically, what I was doing is going, this horse can't lose, meaning King of the North, because when this horse is on cover, this horse is spectacular. He has a huge finish. Obviously, he drifts out on the stretch. He has some issues, but I never expected Duly Resolved to hold on because I know how good King of the North is off cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could tell. Yeah, you could tell right in there that King of the North. For a portion of the stretch drive, I thought that Duly Resolved was going to hang on, but you're right. King of the North found that extra gear late. He was out greeting the crowd out along the fence, coming to the wire, but no points for style, but big points for the win. Another big payday, and but really the big thing I think for the Connections is they punched their ticket now to the Mohawk Million, which is something else they were really wanting to do.
Ashley, I was watching your face. I think both of us were having a moment. They were Temporal Hanover on the lead, Duly Resolved second. I was like, oh my God, is this really happening?
Well, so I also on my TV, I have a big TV on this wall. So I was watching it there, but then also looking up in the left corner to see your reaction where you just kept on. You were salivating when you saw dollar signs for a little bit. But you're right. I mean, just in terms of obviously the finish, King of the North, very impressive, especially, in that final panel there. But I think the other thing to kind of note, you mentioned all the action. I mean, obviously, Temporal Hanover does decide to make that move early and kind of engage there. And then you mentioned the favorite goes off stride. Turning for home, we're all just like hoping one of our horses out of the three of us is a winner at that point. But then another horse goes off stride. So there was a whole bunch of stuff happening in that race. And at the end of the day, the favorite still won.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a fun race to watch, though. I mean, there was a lot there. So that was really cool. Well, the big one is up next. The Pepsi North America Cup is up next. We've got our next two guests in the green room. We're going to bring them in momentarily. Before we do, though, we're going to get final words here from both Derick and Ashley. You've given us a little bit of a preview of how you see the North America Cup unfolding. But for those watching, let's say you've got, I don't know, $20, $25 in the betting account right now, and you want to bet on the North America Cup, which is coming up next here, and we'll show it to you live. Derick, how would you approach sort of a targeted, sort of very focused bet in the upcoming race?
Well, there's not going to be much value in betting a Bulldog Hanover Perfect Sting Exacta, so I don't think I'm going to throw that out there. So we're going to go with, if I was playing just $20, we'd do a $2 trifecta, 4 with 8, 9 with 3. which is a buck a bet Hanover and Rocky Road Hanover second, trying to split the difference, and then an $8 trifecta, Bulldog Hanover over Perfect Sting over a buck a bet and Rocky Road. You know, you're not going to get rich playing this, but I think I'd rather play the two trifectas, $8 each, 4 with 3 with 8, 9, and have a shot that it pays $20 than play what could be a $6 number in a 4-3 exacta.
Yeah, hope for a little bit of craziness. So I like that. I like that. How about you, Ashley?
Well, you did good planning here. I just gotta say, great planning that Derick and I like the same 4 horses. So similar fashion, but I still think, he's gonna try to split him in the try. I would still play an exacta here, because if it's not 3-4, 4-3, and you do get a price, I mean, we know it's horse racing. Weird things can happen here, especially with these races. I still would like to use a bucket Hanover in the bucket bet Hanover, I should say, in the exacta, and in the try, I would use all 4 horses again. I probably have to use the 3 and the 4 on top, even though if you made me choose, I would say Bulldog Hanover is my top pick. I'd still want to use them both, and then I'd probably play something like 3-4 with the 3-4-8 with the 3-4-8-9, and just play that for how much in your budget. But I'd like to see the 8 maybe get into that exacta. Derick touched upon it. Kind of reading some articles about Andy McCarthy and just his comments. I mean, he mentioned some of this. He thought he was maybe not going as hard on him as he could in the drives, and it pan out the way that he wanted. So I think kind of looking at some of his races, maybe you can give him some excuses and give him a pass. And I guess when I look at, the elimination for him, at least he was kind of making a move in the lane there. So I'll use him in here at a price. I mean, I don't know what he's going to go off at, but he was 12-1 on the morning line.
And I'll just say one thing in closing before I'm out of here. The exacta with duly resolved second behind King of the North returned 22.40. That was a pretty big number there.
I'll take it.
If you played that, which I may or may not have. And Bulldog opened up 2-5.
You gave me that exacta. I played that because of you.
I've done everything I can. And King of the North was my if you had $20 to bet play in the so now everyone who played it now has $37 to play on the North America Cup.
Yeah, and look, and you've given a couple of prices out here in the North America Cup. So I think if you're watching, if you weren't following a moment ago, you still have a chance. Derick and Ashley, we really appreciate you taking a few minutes with us on this big night. Always great to see both of you.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. It was great to see everyone else. It's been a while since we've all been in similar places, that's to say the least.
It's definitely great to be on. It's a pleasure, and we'll have to get down and see you sometime, Ashley, down at Gulfstream.
Yeah, the weather here, there's a lot of sunshine, so be prepared. See you guys later.
Derick Giwner, Ashley Mailloux, thank you, both of you, for jumping on here. And we're going to go ahead and bring in our next 2 guests. I'm really excited about this. There's Mike. And there's Mike. Mike. What do you know?
What's up? This is not the original Mike and Mike, though. I think, but
this is slightly
only
better.
One half.
Slightly better. On the left side there, you see the assistant racing secretary at MGM Northfield Park, Michael Carter. And then on the right, you see the Mike Pribozie. I told you I would just call you the Mike Pribozie.
Perfect. The one and only, right?
The one and only. First of all, Mike and Mike, just tell us where you both are at this moment as we count down the last 15 minutes or so until North America Cup. Let's start with MC Michael Carter.
Well, I am actually at Northfield Park. I'm calling the races here tonight. I'm also helping call our post times, so trying to navigate through the mess that is post times on a night like this when you're trying to, miss the big tracks. And Mike, by the way, I can chase horses again. I'm not on crutches anymore. So
no crutches. I'll have to tell a Carter story when we have a chance. Like one of the funniest things I've seen in a while.
So wait, Mike Carter, I see that you've got a race coming up in 2 minutes. How are you going to handle this? What are you doing?
So we actually don't come out until they're going to be coming out here in a couple minutes, and then we'll do the post parade, and then I'll have a few minutes to talk with you guys. So we're good.
Okay. Well, if you want, we could take you off the screen. You could hop off and then hop back on, whatever works for you. But we definitely want your opinion in the North America Cup. So if we're coming up close to post time, just hop off and hop back on.
Okay.
Mike P, where are you at?
I'm at home, actually. I've been home watching the races all night. So
nice. Any luck so far?
I did okay. I hit the early pick 5. I really needed Duly Resolved there, though. I really thought he was winning there. I really like that horse, but he just and he's right. The track too has been playing well for that sort of, not getting caught, but I think it's changing just a little bit at the wrong time. So.
Greg, what do you think? I mean, you're there trackside. I mean, anything noticeable to you?
In terms of the win tonight, I don't know really how it's impacting performance per se. It's going to impact the times, and I think we even saw that there. 54-2 is a pretty nice time for 2-year-old trotters, but nothing close to record speed. So I think there'll be an impact there. Now, I've been inside for the last hour, so I'm not sure if the wind has changed or died down from what it was, but it was pretty substantial earlier and definitely having some impact. And it appeared earlier on the card anyway, being up close to the front end was the place to be turning for home tonight. So I would expect that's going to continue. Mike had to jump off?
Yes, he'll jump back on, hopefully. I mean, hopefully we didn't just get like 30 seconds of him. I mean, more of them. I love this question. For someone who never bet harness racing, what do you look for in a race like this? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's very open-ended. Mike, what do you look for? How do you tell somebody who's a thoroughbred bettor how to approach this race?
Well, I mean, this race in particular, usually I think in harness at the upper end, you get more favorites than you do necessarily in thoroughbreds. I mean, trips matter a lot, but a lot of these top horses, they get good. They race almost every week or every other week against each other at the same distance. So a lot of these horses, especially at the upper levels, I think are more apt to win a lot of these bigger races and these bigger purses. You have eliminations, these horses are all facing each other. And I think that you get a better idea of where they match up against each other, as opposed to thoroughbreds. You might have horses coming in from different places. Look, today at Kentucky Downs, you had, 13 horse fields, different distances, a track that most of them have never seen before. I mean, it's a totally different game. It's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
So,
I was going to say the same thing. Form, look at the recent form of the horses, because as Mike put it so well, these horses have a lot of familiarity for the most part, race against each other or this caliber of horse. So especially this late in the season, you've got a really good sample size to see how they do stack up against each other. And, then look at the replay of the eliminations. Bulldog Hanover, we've talked about it at length. Really the body language of the horse. Physically, he looks fantastic. And his performances in his last couple of races, he's looked stronger than he has at any point in the season. So at a time when some horses start to get tired or tail off, he seems to be going in the other direction, which I think spells bad news for the competition. One thing that will be likely different tonight, and often is versus elimination races, the finals, there's usually a lot more speed from start to finish. There's more early battling. Eliminations, they tend to get lined up and they're just jostling to get position and get a spot in the final. Tonight, the big money's on the line. They're all going to be racing full tilt from the get-go. So often there's something a little crazy can happen in these finals that you didn't see in the eliminations.
If you've been paying close attention to the left side of the screen, we've added not one, but two guests. One is a returning guest. Michael Carter's back with us. And we've got from DRF Harness, Mohawk handicapper, Garnet Barnsdale. I should also say Twitter celebrity Garnet Barnsdale joining us. First of all, Garnet, well, we want to hear from you. We've already had Mike jump on and off once. So let me go to Mike. Give us your quick overview here of the North America Cup.
So, I have to agree with everybody who's been on so far. I mean, Bulldog Hanover and Perfect Sting, obviously, are the top two horses, top two contenders. But a horse that Mike Pribozie and I both saw on Carl Milstein Memorial Night, the two Better Son might get play or contender underneath. Came to the half-mile track to take on the likes of Charlie May, who was disqualified of the Meadowlands Pace victory. And wasn't all that bad. Got a decent trip, finished fifth, beaten 8 lengths. But, first, coming back to a half-mile track after racing at Mohawk Park, was just kind of hit or miss. But the start 2 back with James McDonald and the bike, you get James McDonald back in the sulky tonight, Better Son might show up at big odds underneath somewhere.
And big odds, I think, is putting it mildly. I'm looking at 99-1 right now.
Yep.
I mean, just talk about not throwing away your shot here. Like, Michael comes on with us the first time. Like, me and him, we've gone back on Twitter talking for years. We got to do some stuff together. First time he's on the show. Yeah, 99-1 shot. Okay, we'll do that. Garnet, top that. What do you got?
I don't know if I can top that, but I'm taking an angle that most people aren't. I'm looking to beat Desperate Man completely out of the exotics. I think we're going a little bit crazy here about his 51-3 back half. The back halves are also the product of what happened in the first half. And when the horse goes to the first half, if he goes to the first half in 58 tonight, he might be 23 lengths behind. So the way the track's playing tonight, it's getting a little bit different as the meet goes, as the races go on. We've seen first over winners, we've seen a second over winner, but it's mostly favorite speed. So I'm going to try and beat him right out of everything. And I think, Perfect Sting's being a little bit overlooked here. I think he's a very good horse. Bulldog obviously has been phenomenal. I don't know if he even knows what a bad trip is, right? Considering last week, and there's a race you don't even see here earlier in the year from the 10 hole where he was out the whole way, and I think 3 wide for about a quarter down the back. So it was just a crazy trip. It was even a worse trip than he had last week. So he's the obvious top horse, but I don't think Perfect Sting doesn't have a shot. I'm going to bet a super and a try, go 3-4 with 3-4 with 1, 5, and 9. I don't think Dexter Dunn has any choice but to leave with Rocky Road Hanover from the 9 hole, and I think he's probably going to be the first leader in the race. I see him sticking around. I like Sylvan's horse last week. I like him again. And maybe Jimmy Connor B can ride the rail with his 25 and change last quarter and slide in there for 3rd or 4th. So my angle in the race is to try to beat Desperate Man completely out of everything, for better or worse.
It's interesting now that we've had a few guests on. Derick Giwner, who was on a little while ago, was also very against the same horse. And it seems like that's where you have to be here, right? You have to take a position on at least one of these horses, if not, 2 or 3 of them. What do you think, Mike P? If you're going to fade any one of the, sort of the logical, who's the horse you're fading?
I agree with the guys. I'm not crazy about Desperate Man. I just feel like that he's sort of like a gold type horse. I don't, he's decent, but for him to be 7-1 in this race, I just feel like it's way too low for me. I'm not crazy about that. I don't really like Which Way to the Beach either. I feel like that it's Perfect Sting, Bulldog Hanover, and Rocky Road Hanover. I think that those are the 3 horses in the race. I agree with Garnet about the 1. I feel like that's the horse that he's the typical ride the rail, get a piece late kind of horse. And he's gotten a lot better recently also. This horse is, was a runoff earlier this season, and now, he's much better, and he has a huge trust. So he's 65-1. He can get 3rd or 4th in the race.
Jack Darling trains.
I would definitely fade the 5 and 6. I would, I think the 3 definitely plays well on top. This is a Grand Secret horse against, a horse that's been racing in golds all year in Bulldog Hanover. So, if that horse was so good, why did he never leave home? And now he's 3-5.
Led out by caretaker Riley Murphy.
That's just my opinion. I feel like they should be closer in price.
John Craig, 7 wins from 11 starts.
Greg, you are the absolute resource. You are the man when it comes to breaking all this down for us. So take a look at this board right now. You're looking at these odds. You've just heard some of the feedback we've gotten from the mics and from Garnet. As you look at this board, do you see opportunities, so you see potential value, do you see any horse being overbet or a horse that represents, as I said a moment ago, maybe potentially some value? What do you think now as you look at the odds and as we get closer?
Simon says Hanover number 7 gets Scott Zeron, the son of Captain.
Well, first I'll respectfully disagree with you there. Guys like Mike and Garnet, they watch these races probably more closely than I do these days. So they've got their finger on the pulse of all these horses. They know what they can do. But and I agree with a lot of what they're saying. I think Desperate Man at 7-1 is probably overbet in this spot. I mean, he's a local horse. There's a good storyline there. He's got connections behind him that I think everybody would like to see him do well. He's a lot like Jimmy Connor B. Jimmy Connor B, when you look at his last quarters in his races, they're as good as anybody in the field, but they rarely get him much because he's usually so far back. And at this level, to rally from as far back as he generally is, it's excellent possible. So, yeah, you end up kind of going to the proven entities in here, and they are Bulldog, Hanover, and Perfect Sting. Jimmy Connor B is a colt that I've watched. I love the colt. I love the way he's progressing. It's another one that I would like to see get a share in here. I will say I do like Which Way to the Beach, and the reason being he's getting better all the time as well. I think he's got kind of one big move, and he showed that last week. Sylvain pulled the trigger a little bit early last week. I didn't know the horse, but would have gotten to know something from him last week. And I think he'll play it differently. I think he's going to want to leave, keep him covered up for as long as possible, and try and move at the optimal time and get what he can get. And we'll see. But I think he's got a big chance to get in here. But I think it all goes through Bulldog Hanover. I know we sound like a broken record, but he's looked, I think, a little bit superior in the last couple of weeks.
We've got a great audience here watching us tonight. Again, we obviously here streaming on America's Best Racing channels, like we mostly cover thoroughbred racing, and so whenever we step out a little bit and try something a little different, it's always cool to see the viewers following us here and playing along. Hopefully, we can win a couple of dollars. By the way, I want you to take a look. I'm looking at some video here of Mike Carter
elimination winner coming in, riding that fantastic winning streak, 4 in a row. Perfect Sting, the other elimination winner. This one, as Kenny mentioned, 10 for 10.
Did they actually go on post?
4 wins and able to come through that
elimination. I think so. I think they are. Like, I don't know if he's hearing us or not, but pretty cool to be pulling double duty for us here.
What seems to be a weekly basis.
It does say 0 minutes, which of course probably means 2 to 3 minutes, I think, or maybe 3 to 4 minutes. Let's circle back to Garnet.
Curious to hear.
I'm probably gonna box. To see this one consensus opinion here. I love your long shot on the rail. Obviously looking for a price or two I can use. Maybe
Saturday,
so they
were
box.
Usually they were
for the people watching out here who haven't bet this
Wednesday or Thursday.
Perhaps haven't bet Woodbine Mohawk
the Trot and Colt King of the North on Wednesday.
Give us a simple bet and potentially an
I got
opportunity
to
to make
watch
some
the
money.
Pacers go, and I got to watch the other one go. They all looked really good. They all looked like they were climatizing really well, and they coming onto the track, they look very, very calm, and that's a good sign.
How big of a mile, Randy, would they go when they're training, on Thursday for this big race on Saturday night?
Surprisingly, they didn't really go much. Like, it was anywhere between 220 and 215 would be my guess. I didn't have a watch on them. I just sat on the track and watched them go.
All right, wait, you're going too fast for us. 3-4 with 3-4. Say it again.
With 1-5-7-9.
We had a great view of the horses going onto the track, right behind us.
All right,
turned around.
So you've heard it there. 3-4.
You see such a professional group.
3-4 with
They go through that horse parade and the pageantry of it with the coolers on.
Super effective bet.
All of them,
if
just
you want to make
their
some
manners and
money,
acting
Mike P. What do you say?
Not sweated up.
I don't know. I think I might just bet the 3 here at 3 to 1. I mean, I think that's a fair price on this horse in this race. I think you can play some exactas with the 9. Right now, the 9's 20 to 1 right now. That's too high a price on this horse, especially the way his track is played.
Right now, 3 to 5 on the board.
Go to the front. This horse has a lot of Grand Circuit lines.
and it's kind of
interesting.
We
Missed in a couple couple of the big.
earlier,
I mean, he won the King pace
selection.
That's
in the race, and
just as good as any race in here.
We kind of hold it against him because
48-1 in that mile
season, but he's hit the board in all 9 of his starts. 10 for 10 as a 2-year-old, and
he has a very legitimate
real
chance
nice
to win
gritty
this race.
effort
So
to
I would
battle
probably
back. Horses don't usually do that.
on
When a
top.
horse gets past like he
Try
did,
to
usually
beat the 4.
they end
Of
up,
course,
just
you're going to
kind of
use him
giving in,
second
but
and third, I
Ferguson
think.
fought
So
back,
I'd be playing
got the
exactas and tries.
Yeah, I mean, he really raced well, but I go back to the
underneath,
fact, too, though,
maybe a little
that
one sprinkled in.
Miller really helped this horse last week.
Okay, so
I mean,
consensus love for the 1 at that price. I'm definitely using the 1. I haven't heard from this group a horse that we heard from the last group that was on. Greg, the 8th horse. I don't know. Is this one who's way too much of a long shot? Buck of that Hanover.
So last week,
I know Derick and Ashley both mentioned the horse.
You look at this field top to
really
bottom. You think it might get busy in that first turn?
I'm not sold on the horse. He's shown tremendous speed at times, but I've kind of jumped off his bandwagon.
But, you just
having
never
said
know
that, at 44-1, if you do like him, that's very attractive.
I do not think that he's going to.
I'd play the race a little bit different than Garnet. I would take
biggest question is how Jody.
The one horse I like, Bulldog Hanover, and use him, and then I throw
mentioned
3 or 4 horses into that number 2 spot. I think you've got to get somebody other than the 3
somewhere pretty high
in there for second to really.
I just really like the horse. I really liked him last year.
If it does finish 4-3 or 3-4 in a 20-cent super.
I drove his mother
water down the payout.
And she was
I'd stick with the Bulldog right on top, and then I'd maybe the 3 and 4 hook up somewhere in the final half, and if one or both of them give way, that's where it can set up for somebody else to pick up the pieces.
I'm really loving the comments here that we're getting. Here's one. I'm trying my dollar on the 2-horse, Better Son, who, if I recall correctly, that was Michael Carter's horse. Thanks to Woodbine for letting us bet the minimum $1. But what he said earlier was, I set the reminder to watch this show 12 hours ago. I was wondering why there would be Woodbine at night. Now I know it's harness. So we tricked him. But it is safe to say it worked because he is now betting harness racing, which he probably would not have done before. So
that's how the branding works.
And Dan, if I could just chime in, I noticed somebody commented they're cheering for Jody, and we saw a graphic a little while ago about the drivers in the field this year and their past NA Cup experiences. And only 3 of the drivers in the race have won this event before. Dave Miller took him a long time to finally break through, but he's been able to win it a couple of times. And Jody Jamieson, the other 2-time winner in the field, and Yannick Gingras, of course, won it last year. But Jody's got that experience, and I think Garnet would agree with watching Jody over the course of his career. One thing about him, he doesn't shy away from the big moments, and I think he's at his best, and he couldn't be any more confident in the horse, and I think that's going to translate into the way he drives him tonight.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Saturday night Jody's a thing. Like he drives better on Saturday than he does any other night, because that's the big nights.
JMA, what's the ice cold try or super Garnet? You've already kind of hinted 4-3, 3-4 something, right? 1. You want to say 3-4-1, 4-3-1?
If I had to make an ice cold one, I'd say 4-3-9.
4-3-9. Okay, Mike. I know 3 is on top for you.
Yeah, I would be. Let's try 3-9-4. I like that.
3-9-4. Greg, ice cold.
Just to be different, 4-6-3.
Okay, all right, that is different. John Piasek here, going with an ice cold 3-5 exacta, paying 23-1 right now. That ain't bad at all. It could be the big dog, Bulldog Hanover at 3-5 right now. It looks like Michael Carter's coming back in. Michael, perfect timing. Oh my God! Talk about multitasking. God bless you.
Pribozie's got a story on me here after this race, I'm sure. So we'll talk about multitasking in a minute.
Mike, you've been jumping back and forth, but you've got probably about a minute or so. This next minute is yours. If you had to give us, a pretty focused play here, 2 or 3 horses, how are you betting this race?
So my ice cold, you know what? I'll just play the 2 on top just for fun. No, I'm just kidding. We'll probably go with the ice cold here. 4-3-2. I actually made money in this race a couple years ago when Wakazashi hit over, defeated Wiggle It Jiggle It. At pretty handy odds. I like John Piasek's play. The 3 over the 5. I think Which Way to the Beach has a little bit of a chance, but like you guys were talking earlier, we haven't really talked much about a Buck and Bet Hanover in this group. Tony Alania's got them all, ready to go. He's got them ready when he comes into these big events. I don't think you can count him out at all.
All right. Well, as you can see, they're at the gate. We're ready to go here. The $1 million Pepsi North America Cup. Thank you to everyone who's joined us, who's tuned in. Enjoy the race. Right after the race, we'll see who the big winners were. So here we go. Pepsi North America Cup. Enjoy.
Big Sting off at 149-4. Elimination win last week. He kicked home at 25-4. A serious group of sophomores are on the gate for the Pepsi North America Cup. They're off and pacing. Rocky Road Hanover from the outside is rolling out of there as Dunn commands him to go for and get that lead. Down the center, Which Way to the Beach will pocket up early. Your outside third is Bulldog Hanover. Jameson will waste no time, no dilly-dallying here. Bulldog Hanover's charging up now to challenge. Into the turn they go. Rocky Road Hanover's got the lead, but it's Bulldog Hanover stepping up alongside him and now stepping by. Back into third is Which Way to the Beach, and Perfect Sting is fourth. Fifth inside to Desperate Man, then sixth in the backfield. Jimmy Connor B. Further back we go to find Better Son, and further back towards the inside is a Buck and Bet Hanover. Next to last is Southwind Gentry, and issues in the backfield for Simon Says Hanover, who has plummeted to last. The opening quarter is 27-3, not enormous, but they move across the backstretch and chase Bulldog Hanover, who's got the racetrack, and he's got backstretch respect too. Leads by 2 lengths. Rocky Road Hanover second. Which Way to the Beach into third. Now first up, Perfect Sting fourth. Halftime, very sensible, 55-1. Going into the final turn, and it's Bulldog Hanover up front by a pair. Rocky Road Hanover tripping out in the pocket spot. Perfect Sting is first up from in third now. Desperate Man is lurking second over from in fourth. What a trip. Henry's mapped out for him. Back inside from in fifth. Locked and shuffled. Which Way to the Beach. Sixth inside Jimmy Connor B. Seventh out overlaid is Better Son. Then it's a Buck and Bet Hanover. 3/4 of a mile, 122. 26-4. A big size third quarter there, and it's Bulldog Hanover coming into the stretch. Perfect Sting from first over. Rocky Road Hanover in the pocket spot. Still there at the rail is Bulldog Hanover. Perfect Sting. Off cover Desperate Man. And it's Desperate Man pacing up late for Henry coming on. Desperate Man on the far outside. Desperate Man. There's no desperation, no strikes. He's a Pepsi North America Cup winner, and he scores in 149-3. Desperate Man.
Oh my, Desperate Man, Greg! I don't know. Do you want to do like a touchdown, a football spike, or end zone dance? What do you want to do?
All right, we are up here, Randy.
Hey, I mean, honestly, let's give Trevor Henry kudos. He mapped out a picture perfect trip, just like we saw with Mark McDonald there in the Wellwood, and I felt pretty confident turning for home that Desperate Man would be no worse than second with that trip. I didn't think Bulldog Hanover would give up the lead as easily as he did, and you knew Perfect Sting would dig right to the wire. But and I just feel ecstatic for the connections, the Chakeen family, husband-wife team here locally. This is a big hometown victory, and it's nice to see. And how about Trevor Henry? He was the king of the B tracks here for decades in Ontario. Moved to Woodbine, the Woodbine circuit a few years ago, made an immediate impact, and here he is winning Canada's biggest race. It's pretty incredible.
That's good, man. Drifted up to 7-1 at the end of the day from 6-1. Garnet or Mike, I know, and you weren't alone. I mean, a lot of people were fading this horse.
Garnet's not here anymore.
Come on, Garnet. What do you say? You're right a lot of the time, but
I'll tell you what. I'm pretty happy for Henry too. And Greg was mentioning he was the king of the beat tracks. I did a story on Trevor when he was racing at the beat tracks for a local horse racing newspaper here, and that was my question to him was, Trevor, when are you going to come to Woodbine? When are you going to come to Woodbine and Mohawk? He's like, I'm just happy doing what I'm doing now, but eventually he couldn't resist, and I think one of the sticking points for him was he only has to come to Mohawk, right? to make his money instead of going to traveling everywhere 6 or 7 days a week. So he's been one of the top drivers at any track in Ontario for a couple of decades. So good for him and his family.
Michael Carter, before we get you going on the next race here. Just what do you think? I mean, what do you make of that?
Well, first of all, Garnet is almost never right when it comes to pace scenario, but Rocky Road Hanover definitely pushed the gate away. No, I'm just kidding.
You're fired, Carter.
Listen, Garnet and I have been doing this doing shows long enough together, to know when he says something, it's pretty much a sticking point. But, I think, Dexter Dunn did everything he could to get Rocky Road Hanover into the race. Desperate Man just proved that, he wasn't a one-hit wonder. A lot of times horses bounce off of efforts like that. And, like Greg said, I'm surprised that Bulldog Hanover, kind of gave way as quickly as he did. And, Perfect Sting throughout this whole season has been kind of, fighting horses off. So you knew he just wasn't going to go away. But I got to give credit where credit's due. Greg, nice play here.
There's got to be 100 people in the winner's circle. I'm looking out from up top here in the media room, and it's this is the story that writes itself.
Yeah. And that really as big a story was the underperformance tonight from Bulldog Hanover.
Yeah,
right.
Not the same horse this week as he was last. Absolutely no excuse. Jody, got him to the front in relatively easy fractions for this level of competition, and I just did not expect to see him give way like he did.
And
that's why they raced him.
Yeah, Greg, to that point, I will say that's one thing you rarely see in thoroughbred racing, right? If you've got a horse racing at the top level, unless there's an excuse, right? Unless there's, didn't get out of the gate well, traveled wide, had to take up, maybe stumbled. I didn't see any excuse there at all. To your point, right? What was it? How does that happen?
Yeah, it just shows you, right? They're flesh and blood animals. I guess the only thing I could point to is that, he was on the front a lot earlier than he had been recently, and he was the target. He does like, I think, to chase horses down. So, but still, at this level off those fractions, he's supposed to be first or second in there for sure.
Mike P., another one of the Desperate Man doubters. You've been quiet here the last couple of minutes. Mike, we'll let you jump in and kind of just give us some of your thoughts. No, obviously, just an interesting race from a number of different perspectives. But Mike, what are your thoughts on all the things we've been discussing here?
Well, a couple things. I think that was Henry's best drive in about 6 months. That was absolutely perfect. That he put that horse in the perfect spot. I was sort of a little bit of a Bulldog Hanover doubter, just because if you look to his face, he's been facing like your better sons, and he's been facing Desperate Man, and he obviously won this race. But I don't know. It seemed to me that 3 to 5 in a race like this was a little bit low for him. It's easy after it's over, but I did say that prior to the race. I thought Perfect Sting raced very well. I didn't expect him to get that first over trip. I thought he was good. He just lost to a better trip tonight. So,
did you think? I thought Perfect Sting was in better position. Maybe. Again, I'm looking at sort of newer, sort of fresher eyes than you guys, but he looked to me loaded all the way, and I thought he had to get every shot to win. You must have been feeling pretty good all the way around.
Yeah, I thought he had a good chance. I didn't expect him first up, but he, he did the work. he's first up against the favorite, and he put him away. He just lost to a horse that was on his back that hasn't won in since July. That obviously was just getting good this past couple weeks. Last week that was no fluke. If you're going to go a 51 back half. And, he won it was a slower pace tonight, but he came home just as well. And you get second over on a race like that, you're going to convert. He was great. That was a really nice race by that horse. Really nice.
Oh, wait. We have a return customer, Derick would be back.
Bulldog Hanover can't lose.
I came back to take my lumps.
Well, no, because the Yankees have tied the Mets now, so I knew you'd be in a better mood.
Go Tribe.
A little better. Listen, there's a lot of things I could say about the race. One, Bulldog Hanover was awful. I mean, at the quarter when it came up in 27-2, I thought the race was over. He just wasn't any good. For whatever reason, he wasn't good tonight. Perfect Sting was huge. Desperate Man had a perfect trip, and he won the race. You know, and congratulations to him. But everything went perfect for Desperate Man. Like, literally, the leader just was not good, and the first horse carried him into the race perfectly. You know, everything went perfect, and he won the race, and he deserves all the congratulations for it.
Chris here. I don't know if anyone wants to weigh in this. The track bias changed significantly from earlier in the night. Does anybody?
He's 100% right.
Yes, 100%.
Definitely.
The first 7 races were won by the front. And then after that, it started to change a little bit.
Nobody could pass a horse in the first 5 races. Never mind, the winner was leading the whole way. Nobody could pass a horse at all. So it's changed a lot since the 5th or 6th race.
In fact, I told Garnet earlier. I said, if you're not on the lead, you basically have no chance. I mean, it was definitely there.
You could see it coming. I think it was race 7 when Ritson, closed from the back of the pack, and you could see it starting to change there, where horses were having a better chance from the back.
That's right. That horse was 80-1.
Even Dancing in the Dark M was probably going to win if he didn't break, and he would have been the first horse to win that wasn't on the lead at that half, right, or 3/4.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you want to blame anybody for Bulldog Hanover's performance tonight, it's probably this guy, Crypto Donnie. He said this before, but on anything all night, and I have the Bulldog. So blame Crypto Donnie. It's all his fault.
I think me and Derick probably put the 6th horse in the winner's circle, though. My only angle on the race was to beat him out of everything.
I was right there with you, and you know what? I didn't think he had a chance. But you know what? That's why they raced the race. The trip was perfect for him. Everything worked out. If Trevor Henry sat at home, thinking how this race could go, it went exactly the way he probably wanted it to go.
And that's why my win percentage is only 34. This is one of the 66 other ones.
And I think the race went exactly the way Jody wanted to go too. I think that if Jody was sitting at home, he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to get the half in 55, and I'm going to win this race easy." And he got the half in 55, and his horse wasn't any good.
Right.
Well, Greg, as you can hear, we still have some Desperate Men doubters here. Even though he won. Not getting, sort of collective love here. So, Greg, you were with me at the start of the show. We're here now at the end of the show. I want to give you the last word. Sum it up for us. And you could take a victory lap on Desperate Man, who I know were higher on than most people tonight.
Well, not really. I didn't pick him to win. I thought he'd be 2nd or 3rd. And my 5 horse raced well, too. He raced the way I thought he would. Sylvain covered him up, and he closed up late. But the guys are right. I just thought Desperate Man, he's a quality colt, and he would need a certain type of trip, and Trevor mapped it out. And a big part of that is post position. The 5 and 6, post 5 and 6 are good spots to leave at Mohawk. They give you a lot of options, and both guys, I think, drove their horses accordingly. Trevor Henry and Sylvain Filion, and I think they maximized their earning potential here tonight. But Bulldog Hanover's performance is really what changed the complexion of the race. Because typically a horse in his form, I mean, if he's up to a 148 mile tonight, it's an entirely different story. And there was no reason to think he wouldn't be up to that based on what we'd seen the last couple of weeks. But that's why they don't cut the check until the race is over.
Greg, as much as I want to believe that Derick was applauding your commentary, I believe that was for the Yankees taking an 8-7 lead over the Mets. So the Mets have given up, coughed up the lead here now. It's 8-7 in the 8th inning. This was a lot of fun.
Yankees going to win a game this month? Wow.
Maybe we should all leave and let Garnet and Derick stay on. We just all get out of here. What do you say? No, but this was a lot of fun. Michael Carter, Mike Pribozie, Garnet, Derick, Greg. Totally appreciative of you guys spending your Saturday night with us here on ABR for Woodbine Live. This was a lot of fun. We should do this more often than just once or twice a year.
For sure.
Sure.
This was good fun. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. As always, I'm Dan Tordjman with America's Best Racing. Look out for our upcoming schedule of races on Woodbine Live and other live streams here. But for tonight, for now, for Pepsi North America Cup night, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.